Hello, baseball fans, collectors, and investors. Welcome back to Iconic Baseball. I am Iconic Al, 30-year collector, YouTube rookie. If you found me and are following me at this early stage, I would just like to say thank you. Thank you for sharing in my passion for collecting the greatest and most iconic ball players of all time. If you're new to the channel or watching for the first time, I highly recommend you subscribe to the channel because there are more and more and more iconic videos coming as we count our way up the list to the greatest and most iconic ball player of all time. Today's video, number 90 on the top 100, features, quite simply, the greatest starting pitcher in Yankees history. I'm talking about the chairman of the board, winner of 6 world championships, the one, the only, Whitey Ford.
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and cracker jack. I don't care if I never get back. Let me root for the home team. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game.
Hall of Famer Ed Whitey Ford, one of the greatest pitchers in baseball history, and the greatest in Yankees history. His career ERA was 2.75, and his career whip 1.21. For a career, he was 236 wins, 106 losses. One of the greatest winning percentages of all time. But that doesn't even tell the whole story. He missed 2 complete years to military service, for which we thank him. And he was one of the greatest postseason pitchers in baseball history. He logged 146 innings in the World Series. That's almost a complete season worth of innings. Well, nowadays, it is a whole season worth of innings. In those 146 World Series innings, he had a 2.71 ERA and a 1.13 whip. And he was a world champion 6 times with those Yankees. Just some epic stuff from Whitey Ford. If you were to add to his stats even conservative estimates of the 2 seasons he missed due to military service, 15 wins per season and maybe 4 WAR per season, he really should be considered more at the level of 266 wins and 65 WAR. So that's about the level where I put him on my list. When I'm ranking my players, I loosely base this top 100 list on WAR, postseason excellence, iconic status, pop culture, and at the end of the day, the collecting market. What does the collecting market say about this player? So all those things factor into my decision making on where to rank a player on this top 100 list. And I like to add back when a player has missed time due to military service. Take an average of what that player would have produced. Because, quite frankly, they deserve it. And they should be judged based on their production and rewarded, not penalized, based on serving for their country. So I consider Whitey Ford to be a 266 win and 65 WAR type of pitcher. Now, Whitey Ford autographs are still relatively attainable and relatively affordable on the market. In my 30 years in the hobby, I've seen this play out over and over again. So let me describe what I see with Whitey Ford items and what probably is to come. Now, Whitey Ford passed away in 2020, and so there are no new autographs being created. The supply in the world is what it is. Generally, when a player passes, there is a flurry of activity in the marketplace. There is buying. You might see a bit of a spike, and I think we saw that a little bit in 2020. But generally what happens is then, over time, a player of Whitey Ford's status, especially as a Yankee great, a winner of as many world championships as he won, and the prominence and the iconic status of a Whitey Ford, generally then slowly dries up over time. The supply of Whitey Ford signatures then dries up over time to the point that supply, demand, there is more demand than supply. And so you're not going to see violent spikes or swings in Whitey Ford items. But you will see a slow, steady appreciation that beats inflation. And it's a player that must be owned by serious collectors of baseball items, iconic baseball items. So, a player that needs to be added to an all-time great collection because of his status as the greatest Yankee starter of all time. Now, I say that with all due respect to guys like Randy Johnson and Roger Clemens, who did wear a Yankee uniform. But Whitey Ford was a career Yankee, and his numbers as a Yankee and postseason numbers as a Yankee cannot be argued. So I still maintain that his career as a Yankee and in pinstripes is the best of any starting pitcher. Now, there is one relief pitcher that wore pinstripes that I do have ranked higher on this top 100 list than Whitey Ford, but as a starter, Whitey Ford is and probably will be the greatest Yankee starter of all time. All right, let's look at some of these items here. We have this signed baseball, which is just a great example of a nice, clean ballpoint signature of Whitey Ford on the sweet spot. And this is an American League Baseball that has been done through Upper Deck. A good way to go. Upper Deck signatures are generally a good investment. They retain value. It has a matching holographic authentication system, generally comes with felt bag, Upper Deck box, a good presentation, holds its value in the marketplace. It's sort of the upscale option, I would say, for signed baseballs. You can have a Whitey Ford signed baseball in the current market, probably in that $85 to $100 range right now. For the Upper Deck version, that something like this in the current market, maybe a little higher, maybe $125 to $150, but still very attainable, very, very affordable, considering the kind of pitcher he was and the kind of historical significance he had. Now, why have I chosen to display 1960 World Series tickets with Whitey Ford? A series in which the Yankees would actually lose. Well, I'll tell you. Whitey Ford threw 2 complete game shutouts. That's right. 2 complete game shutouts in the 1960 World Series. Probably one of the greatest performances by any pitcher in any World Series. With all due respect to Bob Gibson. In 1960, Whitey Ford pitched 2 9-inning complete game shutouts against the Pirates. And despite that, the Pirates were able to overcome and beat the Yankees in dramatic fashion in Game 7, thanks to Bill Mazeroski. But regardless, you have to applaud the performance of Whitey Ford in that series. He won 6 world championships. This wasn't one of them, but you can't do any more than he did as a starting pitcher. So I just wanted to highlight Whitey's performance in that World Series. Now, these tickets came to me from my dad's side of the family. They were actually handed down to me from my uncles who went to these games at Forbes Field in Pittsburgh. Were able to witness some of the great players in baseball history, including Mickey Mantle, who homered twice in Game 2. In fact, I have a card from the 1961 Topps set. Mantle slams 2 homers, referring to this game right here, Game 2 of the 1960 World Series, a game in which Mantle hit 2 long home runs at Forbes Field that my Uncle Jim still remembers. Those balls traveling deep into the stands at Forbes Field, which was not a small park, by the way. It was a large ballpark. These weren't cheapies by any means, but really a great tie-in there with the 1960 World Series and a great performance by Whitey Ford. Well, that concludes my episode for Whitey today. I highly encourage everyone, as I said in the intro, to subscribe to this channel if they haven't already, or if this is your first time watching my channel, because we're going to continue to count up this list, and we'll get more and more iconic as we go. So until next time, keep collecting and stay iconic.